It is scary how strong the correlation between men going to the gym and them being homosexual is. It is a very, very strong correlation, and I'm about to show you statistically through research that it's 100% true. I love statistics. It was really one of my favorite classes to take in college. So we are going to break this down statistically on why it's a very, very high likelihood that if you're dealing with a man who's heavily into fitness, personal trainer, bodybuilder, anything relating to fitness, yes, most likely he is homosexual. So there was a study done. This study was conducted in 2014. If I can remember, usually using statistics within like a 10-year mark, anything later than 10 years is kind of just considered more statistically insignificant because it would need to be done over to kind of prove the trend is, still going that way. But anyway, this was a study done in Israel. If you are not familiar with the LGBTQ community with Israel, it's very, very free there. It's very, very liberal there. So think of Israel as a New York City, as a Chicago, as a Portland, Oregon. So I'm not going to read all of this, okay? Just understand that MSM, that acronym in the study, it means men that are sexually active with men, okay? Really the biggest and most important part of this part of the study is that it's the last sentence. Another theory is that the efforts of MSM to develop a muscular body are to counteract memories of having a less athletic or even weak or feminine appearance during their childhood or adolescence. It's exactly what I said in the video explaining how straight men aren't straight. You cannot like the feminine when you're taught to dislike everything about the feminine. Therefore, you are going to embody being more masculine. Therefore, you're going to internally like things that are more masculine, i.e. another man. So this study was a self-reported analysis study. So they had given like a questionnaire. I can't remember. I think it was like 80 something questions. It was a questionnaire that they had given all of the gym goers. So it was about 400 of them that they sampled. 48% of them were men who had sex with men, okay? 154 of them reported just being gay, so only sleeping with men, and then 28% of them, or 28 of them, were bisexual. And then the other half claimed to be heterosexual. So even statistically speaking, just off of the numbers, 50% of these men reported that they sleep with men. Like, come on. So now we're going to get into the part of the study that compares the men who sleep with men and compare them to the heterosexual men in the study. In that study, they found that the men that sleep with men, they were born in Israel, they have a lower BMI, they have a dietary regimen, and they use protein powders and steroids. I was a bodybuilder. Okay, I can't tell you how many male bodybuilders that I know that tell me that they've slept with other men, they've had other men hit on them. It is very, very, very prevalent in the bodybuilding community and wrestling, because I've talked to a few wrestlers too. It's very, very prevalent in any type of industry where your physical appearance matters. It also says that men sleeping with men demonstrated a stronger desire to become muscular, or, this is what's crazy, or for preferring to be muscular than rich. And a greater percentage reported for performing IAT. IAT is intense anaerobic training than heterosexual men. And then this next sentence I feel like is the most important. Body shaping and improving self-confidence were the main reasons of men sleeping with men for training, while losing weight and improving health were more predominant reasons among heterosexual men. The thing that's so funny is that most men do not value their health, okay? I'm not going to get into the part when the study's talking about HIV, because I have another video that I'm going to do that's separate that talks about STD exposure to men and how actually Mother Nature uses STDs to eradicate men, and we'll talk about that in another video. However, This study checks out what a lot of women have when it comes to their thoughts about men being heavily into fitness and their sexual preference. This is where it gets fucking juicy, okay? Pornography, which is more commonly used by MSM than het men, is full of mesomorphic, muscular, and highly athletic porn stars with smooth bodies. Viewers may internalize the messages and embrace the belief that they need to possess a similar physique in order to obtain sexual gratification. 99% of men watch porn, okay? So what is that telling you? A lot of us like to give the talking point of porn being very dangerous to men because of how it displays women, but we never have the conversation on how men are viewing the man that's actually doing the act and internalizing how that man looks and if he is turned on by the man as well, because we're just assuming that the man is only watching it as a heterosexual man. That study also made sure to mention that there had been other studies done at other gyms in other locations across the world that showed the exact same thing. The thing about men and what they've created is that they either took a playbook from women, and Princella the Queenmaker talks about this, they either took a playbook of women or took their view of men and put it on women. The objectification of women came from originally men objectifying other men. That is why years ago, decades ago, they wanted men to be strong. They wanted men to be muscular. They wanted men to have a certain physique. Men who are always going to the gym and who are very, very physically active, they're doing the same exact thing. They're objectifying themselves to give themselves more sexual partners. That is not exclusive to just women. That's the reason why men are always saying, oh, that makeup, you got your body done. You just want validation and you just want attention. It's the same reason why you're going to the gym. It's just a male form of body objectification to increase your chances of having more sexual partners. They saw a man and thought that man was attractive, and therefore they want to look like that man. This is not rocket science.